Alright, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my reaction to the UFC 286 press conference that happened yesterday. I took some notes while I was listening, doing work at home, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to timestamp this, and so I've decided, because I want to do it in chronological order, I don't want to do separately each person's individual moments. I'm going to timestamp it by Kamaru Usman's personality changes because it actually correlates almost perfectly with a beginning, middle, and end. So just know that when you see Usman personality 1, 2, and 3, that stands for beginning, middle, and end, roughly, of the press conference. So yeah, I'm gonna give my thoughts on some of the moments that happened and things like that. But before we do, please like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'll thank you in advance. And also thank you to everybody who subscribed yesterday because we did hit 200, and that's just another milestone, 1/5 of the way there to monetization. So thank you very much. Now let's get right into it. So first note I said, I just want to point out that at the beginning of the press conference, Kamaru Usman has a completely different personality, voice, cadence, whatever you want to call it, compared to the one that he had at media day. He was talking much faster. The tone that he typically does when he's telling a scary story, it wasn't there, and it was like literally the first thing I noticed. The next thing I noticed was that, Leon had a good answer to that dumb question that keeps coming up, dude, about how or what has he done since the first fight to prove he can beat Usman. And he just responded with, I put my shin across his head, WTF, basically. Sorry, I don't want to say it. We're only a minute and a half in. Well, whatever, dude. What the fuck, he said, basically. I put my shin across his head. What the fuck? Like, question mark at the end of that. Because it's a stupid question, man. And it's a good way to ask it because it's just a perfect response. It makes Usman just constantly be reminded that he got fucking knocked unconscious. And in my opinion, dude, people keep saying this too. I've seen this in the comment sections and stuff like that. Like, people are saying out of the 8 rounds that they fought, 7 of those or some shit went to Kamaru Usman, and they act like Leon Edwards had that one moment. First of all, in their first fight, 2 of the judges scored at 29-28. Only one judge had a 30-27, so right off the rip, there's 1 round for Leon Edwards, okay? In their second fight, he absolutely won the first round, and he won the 5th round. It finished, right, in the 5th, but he would have won that round if that was just a knockdown, let's say. So out of 8, whoops, it's 5-3. Like, it's not as dominant as people are making it seem. And also, I would argue that the one moment that Leon Edwards, the perceived one moment that Leon Edwards had, what he did in that 5th and final round, in the final minute, is more impressive by a fucking country mile than anything Kamaru Usman did in any of the 8 rounds. Like, that is the most impressive moment out of their exchanges together so far. So I don't quite understand why people are acting like Leon Edwards can't do anything to Kamaru Usman. It does not make a whole lot of sense. He's also the only guy to take him down and immediately was in mount, took his back, and was, going for a submission, which Kamaru Usman doesn't have submission skills, really. He was defending it well, and that was good, but Leon Edwards has shown that he can finish Kamaru Usman in more than one way, in my opinion, and I don't like the narrative that he got dominated for like 7 of the 8 rounds, and there was just that one moment that happened in time, because it's not true, objectively, based on judges' scorecards, and the fact that he has, by far, I would argue the 2 most impressive moments. The back take, threatening a choke, and the head kick are more impressive than anything Usman did. So I don't know, man. It's a weird one to me. I think it's a little bit of cope. The next thing I noticed, man, was that Justin Gaethje cuts like 0 weight, and it's crazy. He does not look dehydrated even a little bit, and the weigh-ins are today, which, they did the press conference yesterday, so the weigh-ins would have been 1 day away. And he looks exactly how he does, like, all the time. He is way smaller than he looks, right? Because I think he's pretty tall. He's like 5 foot, well, tall for a lightweight. I think he's like 5'11" or something like that. Like, he had a couple inches on physique, it looked like. But man, he doesn't have to cut a lot of weight, clearly, and I kind of like it. It makes me respect him a little bit more. I said in my video yesterday that I didn't really like Justin Gaethje's personality, which is whatever, because I love watching him fight. He's one of those guys where it's like, it's okay that he's got an annoying personality because he's the most, like he said, one of the most exciting fighters to exist ever. And it makes me respect him more. He's one of those guys that fights at or around his natural weight class, like Colby Covington does. Who, crazy, he was a back in weight. He weighed in as the backup, which they kind of kept that like under wraps. So pretty wild there. This shit annoys me, dude. And I'll probably be like one of, I doubt there's going to be a lot of people that agree with me. And I want these guys to make their money. Like, I want them to have big paydays and good pay-per-views and stuff like that. But I do wish that whenever Conor McGregor says something, that the media wouldn't just get their fucking dicks rock hard and constantly talk about it, because I know that this sport does not necessarily work off of rankings and who deserves what. But when the famous guys aren't around, it does work like that. And it's just annoying to me that Conor McGregor says he's going to get a fight for the title at 170 and everybody's like, "Oh, are you going to..." It's just stupid, man. I don't like it. I would rather watch, and I know that this isn't necessarily the best for the company monetarily, and I'm probably, maybe not alone, but the minority here. I would rather watch real contenders who have earned a title shot fight for the title than I would rather watch Conor McGregor fight either Leon Edwards or Kamaru Usman. I just would rather see real contenders that have earned their shot. Like, if he jumps over Bilal Muhammad or some shit, that would be a little fucked, but whatever, dude. But also, dude, people just ride his nuts so fucking hard. Like, Jesse on Fire did a video about the USADA situation and saying how Conor will most likely get an exemption, and he should, because he should be able to take the things that he needs to get better and all this and all that. And yeah, they should. But also, it's... Dude. Does anybody not remember what happened with Brock Lesnar? Right? Like, they kind of gave him an exemption, and then they found out that he failed his drug test. And Mark Hunt has a very good fucking case for suing the UFC, because under contract, like, everybody is supposed to be tested by USADA. So if you're a guy who goes in there and you've been tested a whole bunch of times and you're clean, and I know that Michael Chandler does not look like he's clean, but I would argue that just because a guy looks like he's not clean doesn't mean he is or isn't, because Kamaru Usman is very muscular, also has some of the best cardio we've ever seen ever. Michael Chandler does not. He's a big muscled up dude, and he gets tired, and in the third round of fights, all he can really do is wave his opponents on and throw fucking super telegraphed, labored, massive shots. Like, it's just fucking stupid that Michael Chandler will have been going through testing. And if they do let Conor McGregor fight without doing the 6 months of testing, they will have, or they could potentially have, another Brock Lesnar situation, which, one, was a massive lawsuit for them, which obviously costs a ton of money and shit like that if they want to fight it, and also is bad press, because what Mark Hunt said is, like, legit. Like, you put me in there with a fucking animal, I'm clean, and he's clearly not, and you allowed that, and you're not supposed to allow that. Like, we're supposed to be in here all under the same rules. So it would kind of drive me fucking crazy if Conor McGregor got an exemption and didn't have to go through the 6 months of testing. And it's not... I'll wait, dude. I'll wait. I don't find it that urgent. I'll fucking wait. Let him test for 6 months. It's only fair. And I know that USADA is not the best fucking organization for this kind of stuff, because clearly they will do things that benefits the company more than they try to keep it a fair sport. And they showed us that when they changed the rules specifically for John Jones and his return. But at least try to keep the, like... At least try to make it look like you're being fair, okay? And I don't know that they'll go through it again, but whatever. That's a tangent side note, but it just drives me crazy when fans of the sport, or quote unquote fans of the sport, only want to see the most famous fighters compete. Like, I could care less if I ever saw Conor McGregor come back, and that's just my opinion, but whatever. First timestamp, dude, because about 7 minutes in, Kamaru Usman changed his personality back to talking like this, guys. And it was like, okay, dude, you were literally talking completely normal at the beginning of this. I feel like it might be due to when he feels some sort of discomfort or like nervousness or something, because there were some exchanges that happened before that, and then he started talking all like this. I think it's when he tries to sound wise too, but it's weird, man. And with that tone, he continues to use the "I drop my hands" line, because Leon fired back and asked him to explain the head kick, because Usman asked him to explain the first fight, which I thought was a good comeback by Leon. Like, yeah, okay, explain what happened to you, guy. He keeps saying he dropped his hands, dude. There's no way that Trevor Whitman doesn't know why the fuck he did that. There's no way. And I hope that Kamaru Usman doesn't think that Trevor Whitman's wrong, or if Trevor Whitman doesn't know, like, dude, you did not get head kicked because you didn't keep your hands up. You got head kicked because you slip your head so far one way and so far the other, because you have a primarily boxing style, I guess, as you're striking. Like, you know what I mean? He's very heavy on the front foot and all that shit. We've been over this before. I've already talked about all this, but it's crazy to me that he continuously says that one line. You could have had your hands there. I would argue you'd still have gotten knocked out, or at the least knocked down and hurt, because you went into it. And it's funny that he keeps saying that. Because Daniel Cormier, at least when John Jones and him were going back and forth, he knew what John Jones meant when he said he's got tendencies. He's like, you're not gonna kick me in the head with your left foot, John, because he knew that he dipped his head that way. Not, oh, I didn't keep my hands up. He knew what it was. All right, this moment was actually, if I'm being brutally honest, man, this moment was probably the best moment of the whole press conference, I would argue. Like, I think that Kamaru Usman did a great job here, and I don't like Kamaru Usman even one bit, but I got to give credit where credit is due. Him continuously saying, don't let him bully you, son. Now, he may have repeated himself more times than necessary, but that is just, yeah, you know, he does stuff like that, I guess. It was a really good line, I think, in my opinion, and low-key, he did a really good impression of Leon's coach, which was actually surprising, because it's a tricky one to do, because there's an accent, and then also you gotta do the pitch and shit like that, and he just continuously said it, and like, he's right, man, they were saying shit like that, so that was a good line, I think, anyways, because, like, Leon looked defeated when his coaches were like yelling that shit at him, and then for Kamaru to use that against him, I thought was pretty witty. Again, he probably didn't need to repeat it as many times as he did, but that's okay. I also think, dude, oh my god, this is something I noticed. Okay, if Kamaru Usman is just going to continuously grow his head in his late 30s, potentially and allegedly from the gear that he has taken, More Plates, More Dates has done a couple videos on Kamaru Usman, I think, and has publicly said what he thinks he's on. But if he's just going to continue to grow that head of his, man, I swear to God, Kamaru Usman should grow a goddamn afro, because I think he would be way more likable, and I think he would look way fucking cooler, dude. He would look like one of those dudes from, like, he would look like a disco guy from, like, the 70s, especially with the way he dresses. And the fucking head shape would be way less noticeable. And I guarantee you that motherfucker can grow a mean afro, dude. Like, there's a guy from Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke movie. A black dude, he's got an afro, and he's like, I can't remember what part of the movie it was, but I think they were all getting, like, it was like a drug bust or something, and that's what he would look like. He literally fucking dresses like that guy, and we wouldn't notice his head fucking growing every time out, so he should seriously consider that. And then he could do cornrows when they're about to fight, which would look cool too, but then we would notice the head shape thing, so maybe it would be a little more revealing, because it would look like he's trying to hide it. And then fight night would come and we'd be like, yo, what happened to his fucking head? Because it's continuously growing, which is insane. And also this thing, dude, this shit pisses me off, and I don't know if people are not gonna like this opinion, but the Three Kings shit to me is cringe as fuck, because we know that they're not talking about Africa now, that they're excluding Dricus du Plessis as an African fighter. You know what I mean? Kamaru Usman literally said, just because you were born and raised there does not make you African or whatever, which is like, yeah, so basically what you're saying is you have to be fucking black to be considered African, even though African is an ethnicity and is an entire continent, right? So everybody that is born there, no matter the fucking color, is African by definition. You idiot, dude. It is low-key racist. I don't give a fuck, but I just know that if they did this for anything else, like if there was, let's say Colby Covington was the welterweight champion. Let's say fucking, I don't know, dude. If Michael Chandler becomes the lightweight champion, and then, I don't know, fuck, who's a white American in the featherweight? Either way, dude, if they had 3 American champions that were all white and they started calling themselves like the 3 American Kings, the media would be all over it. People would be all over it, saying it's racist as fuck. And dude, unironically, the people that like are on board with this shit, Jamal Hill did a post the other day about how there's 3 African American champions and how that's cool. And I didn't care, because I was like, yeah, the way he said it was not, it was fine. He didn't say it in a fucking ridiculous way. But if you go look at the comment section, the people that are watching there's like actual black supremacists in there, where if you go and click on their profile and go to their fucking page, dude, you're like, whoa. And the shit they were saying is just fucking wild. Like, white, or what did they say? Brown and black will rule the world and shit, or brown and black will take over the world and shit like that. And I'm like, dude, if white people were saying this, there'd be a fucking real issue. Okay, so chill out, guys. Jesus. All right, and at about 23 minutes again, he changed his personality back to the first one that he had, which is crazy, dude. It's like fucking, how is he? Do you think he's like totally fucking aware of what he's doing, or do you think it's just how he like deals with certain situations? Because it's funny when you see a prolonged thing happen, and because some people get upset when you say that he's got the multiple personalities, and I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Jorge Masvidal's channel, actually, back when they were supposed to fight the second time, did a video about the many personalities of Kamaru Usman. And but it's crazy when you see like a lengthier interview and you see it change multiple times, and you're like, look, he just changed. Did anybody see that? It's nuts, dude. He just keeps changing his cadence, his tone, everything. And yeah, I don't know how you could deny it at this point. Oh man, dude, that guy that asked the question, is fighting beautiful, and if so, why? Was cringe as fuck. And that guy should never be allowed a press pass ever again. You've got one moment to ask Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, Justin Gaethje, or Rafael Fiziev a good question, and that's what you ask. And you say to all 4 of you. So he wanted an answer to everybody. One person answered it. I think it was Usman. And it wasn't even really, what Usman said wasn't necessarily even related to what, like, it was just such a fucking stupid question, man. This isn't the time or the place. If you have them one-on-one, you can ask that question, I think. Like, if you were doing a one-on-one interview. This is a press conference, dude. The crowd's hype as shit. They're not into that. And nobody heard him. So John Anik had to repeat it in Kamaru Usman's ear, I think. Or I don't remember who he repeated it to, but whoever answered, it was just fucking stupid, man. It was kind of cringe. That guy does not look like a fan of MMA, dude, but maybe he just got assigned this and he's like some artsy dude, and he's like, oh, it's an art, so I'll ask why it's beautiful. Stupid. Don't fucking ask those questions at a press conference dude, with a fucking crowd of crazy Brits that are probably already drunk. It was bad decision making, to say the least, okay? I love fucking Rafael Fiziv's broken English, man. Just some of the answers that we get from him, they're funny. And it's like, he's not trying to be arrogant or an asshole or even funny, but just the way he says it and how it comes across, it is funny because that guy kept asking him, or not kept asking him, he asked him, you know, you said you wanted a slow rise, yet here you are, only however many fights into your UFC career, co-maining, or co-main eventing a pay-per-view. So whatever, asked him, you know, it didn't go as slow as you wanted it to, and what did he think about that and whatever, and he goes, what can I do, bro? I'm just too good. Perfect answer. And it didn't come across as arrogant, whereas like if an American guy said it, it probably would have sounded arrogant, if I'm being honest. Or if anybody on that panel, quite frankly, said it, it might have came off as arrogant, but because he's got broken English and he literally did this, like the shoulder shrug, like he didn't know for real, so it didn't come across as arrogant. Okay, another moment. Abu Dhabi was announced, which is fine, dude. That's fine. Cool. That means that's when Islam's going to fight next, which means if Volkanovski doesn't get in there quick against Yair Rodriguez and win, we won't see a rematch for a while. It also means that that's all it means. I didn't get overly excited for that announcement because I kind of expected it. Right? Like they go back to Abu Dhabi at least once a year. It's good for fight fans, I guess, because whenever they are there, they try to put on pretty good events, right? Like the trailer that they had was pretty good, where they were showing all the moments that happened in Abu Dhabi. The one part, though, that was a little odd was like Dana White walking up to the cage on the outside and grabbing the chain link fence and looking in. It's like, okay, dude, a little much, but whatever. Also, dude, I fucking love John Anik. I truly do. He that guy that asked the question, you know, nobody can put things into words quite like you can. I know there are people that think he's cringe and shit because they think that his his like one-liners after a victory are pre-written. I really don't think they are. There's been times where he's discussed it on his podcast. Like after Jan Blachowicz won, and he yelled out something about Poland, your guy got it done or something, and, you know, the Jorge Masvidal's KO of Ben Askren, nobody would have ever expected that. That was a genuine... I like him, dude. He's my favorite commentator. I would prefer to listen to him over any of the guys because he actually kind of takes it seriously and doesn't just like start joking around with another guy and, you know, doesn't start talking about his own fight career because he didn't have one. And that's fine from time to time, but Michael Bisping and Paul Felder do it a little bit much for me. I think John Anik's one of the best sports commentators, period. But to be fair, I don't watch other sports, so I may be a little biased here. But I love when he shows who he actually is. Like when he's on the job commentating, he can't swear and shit like that. So he's being super professional, fucking buttoned up, all that jazz. When he's on his podcast, or apparently in this situation, and he can be himself. If you don't watch his podcast or haven't watched his podcast, you might not know that motherfucker swears a lot. So the way that he put that into words for that guy that asked that question, I thought was hilarious. Just he's fucking hyped for this or whatever. He is a really good hype man, dude. He's fucking really good with his words. Face-offs. Maybe I'll add another timestamp for the face-offs. Gaethje and Fiziev both, like, there wasn't much to talk about, man. If I'm being honest, they probably should have had at least another pair of fighters on here. The only thing is that Gunnar Nelson and Brian Barberena are the feature fight. Those two probably wouldn't have really added a whole lot. They could have had Marvin Vettori, though, and Roman Dolidze up here, which I don't know why they didn't. Maybe it was because they aren't in the feature fight spot, but Marvin Vettori usually makes press conferences a little more interesting. Like, he can't help himself but to trash talk and shit when there's a bunch of people in front of him and cameras. And it's funny listening to him talk. I can't understand most of it, but, you know, I like watching orcs get mad, dude. So it would have been cool. And we probably would have had... ceremonial weigh-ins, face-offs will probably be a bit better. Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev just both looked really respectful, and just a normal face-off, they were both looking confident. Gaethje's a little bit taller than Fiziev. Fiziev's obviously muscular. You can actually tell that Fiziev's cutting weight right now, and it didn't make me more hyped or less hyped or anything like that. It was what it was. They just have to do it to finish off the press conference. Now, Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman's face-off was a little bit more telling, or a little bit better. And not that I'm like some body language expert or anything like that, but I try to look for things like that, to try to gauge where guys are. Leon Edwards seemed to have been mean-mugging Kamaru Usman pretty hard and seemed totally fucking confident, was standing up tall and upright, and, he's taller than Kamaru and whatever. Mean-mugging good. And then Kamaru Usman continuously was clenching his jaw, pardon me. Like, you could see his jaw muscles continuously clench in the cheek, which, I don't know, man. To me, that's like an attempt to intimidate Leon Edwards. You don't really do that unless you're trying to, I don't know. That's like a show of anger, right? At least I think so. I don't know. Could be wrong. Or teething, but I don't think Kamaru Usman's teething. But considering his head's still growing, he could be. Maybe he hasn't got all his adult teeth yet. But I think it's him trying to intimidate Leon Edwards. I used to do that to people, man. If I was about to get talking shit with a guy in school or whatever in high school, I would fucking clench my jaws. It's just like doing the crazy eyes. When you open your eyes real wide and fucking look at them like that. It's the same sort of thing. So it was just, and it wasn't like one hard constant clinch. Or maybe he was chewing gum, dude. Who fucking knows? But he just kept doing it. Like, instead of, in Grand Theft Auto, when people realize that if you hold down the button for sprint, you get tired, but if you just fucking tap it, you can go forever. Like in the old GTAs, that's like what it reminded me of. Instead of him just holding his clenched jaw, he just kept fucking tapping it over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, dude, chill. But I think it was just an attempt to intimidate. Man, this was one more thing. I forgot to bring this up because he said it actually. I think it's probably towards the beginning, maybe middle of the press conference. Kamaru Usman thinking that he would be cheered over Leon Edwards is fucking delusional. I couldn't believe that he said that, and then it was hilarious to watch the exact opposite happen. He was constantly getting heckled, and I'll say that I understand where he was coming from. When he said that, I just don't know that he did the best job articulating it, but if he would have used an example, it would have hit home a lot more. So when Leon Edwards fought Gunnar Nelson, when Till and Masvidal headlined this same arena, if I'm not mistaken, dude, Leon Edwards got booed, I'm pretty sure. People did not like him that much. Like, I'm pretty sure I remember him getting booed. And I think the reason is because Darren Till was funny and was the guy that the UFC was pushing huge, right? Like, he's the headliner, and he had just fought for the title, so he was like the UK's big name at the time, whereas Leon Edwards was still a little bit further down in the rankings. And at the press conference, when Masvidal's famously sitting there quiet, asked the dude for the Wi-Fi password or whatever, because his opponent and the guy fighting down the card were going back and forth as if they were fighting each other. And I think that guys didn't like, people in the UK necessarily, they just didn't like Leon the same way that they like Till, which is crazy because, now we can see who the better fighter was. Clearly, Leon Edwards blows fucking Darren Till out of the water in every aspect of the fight game, except for garnering attention, I guess. But Leon did it through hard work, wins in his performances, and winning the title, whereas Till did it because he's funny and has a good social media presence. But so I understand what Kamaru was trying to say. I think if he would have brought up an example, it would have hit home a bit more. But he was saying, like, they won't understand you. They'll understand me before they understand you with that accent and shit, which is fair. I mean, dude may need subtitles from time to time. He's also, like, really good at being a ventriloquist, so I don't know if anybody noticed that, dude, at Media Day after he spat out his water. I think I brought this up yesterday, but he fucking spoke a whole sentence without moving his face even a little bit. His teeth were showing. I was like, that was fucking incredible, dude. He should sit up there with a dummy. But it was funny to see people just ruthlessly attacking him because, dude, once a guy becomes a champion, your country's not going to deny you, especially a country like, or, you know, not a country, but like the UK in general. They're going to get behind you, man. Like, it's just, it is what it is. And it was hilarious to fucking hear guys in the crowd screaming shit at him, like, nonstop. I think someone called him a bald fuck a couple times or something along that lines, which is another reason why he should grow an afro, dude. He won't get comments like that, and he'll look cool as shit, dude. So, Kamaru Usman, fucking listen up, bro. Grow an afro. We won't see your forehead growing that way, and guys can't call you a bald fuck anymore. Another guy, I think I heard this. I could be mistaken. But I think I heard someone call him a fat bitch, which is fucking hilarious because he's not fat. But maybe they're talking about his fucking fat head again. Who knows? And then the crowd constantly chanting headshot, which is also incredible because it's just constantly reminding Kamaru Usman that you got fucking sparked last time out. And they're going to be chanting it during the fight, I would imagine. And it'll be even louder because it'll be a fucking packed arena. And, man, I'm fucking stoked on this fight, dude. Weigh-ins are next. You know, I might do a reaction video tomorrow morning on the weigh-ins and the ceremonial weigh-ins and stuff like that. Because I would imagine that the face-offs today are going to be better and more telling also than yesterday, because we're going to get to see the guys at, you know, the worst of their, or not even the worst, but what they look like after their weight cut. Guys don't usually look totally rehydrated by the time ceremonial weigh-ins happen, and I will also react to the weigh-ins themselves. I'm curious to see Usman because usually he looks a little more depleted to me by this time in the week. So hopefully he doesn't miss weight. That would be fucking horrible. And, you know, the fact that they had... I know it's smart of the UFC to have a backup fighter come, but it is a little strange considering, like, both guys made it perfectly fine. You know what I mean? At that point, it's kind of like, eh. And usually when they do the backup thing, like, that guy's been promised a title shot. So if Colby Covington's getting the next title shot, that would be... That's a little strange to me, man, just because he's been a little bit inactive, but... It is what it is. These are my thoughts on the press conference. Probably was a little jumbled. I'm going to go for a walk now. I had cougar tracks in my backyard, so hopefully I don't get attacked. Yeah. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you at the next video. Probably my weigh-in reaction tomorrow morning, or if not later today. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.